Hi, and thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Reverend MeeLing, I've been known by a few names. Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle. I've been known by a few names. So, my biological mother and my biological father and my biological sister moved to the state of Texas, as they claimed, to assist me with my son and my daughter. They did not assist, except for, teaching my son and my daughter that my biological mother and biological sister were not to be trusted. That's what I would guesstimate my son definitely learned, but also my daughter, because as much as my biological mother and biological sister especially tried to convince so many people that they were here to help me with my son and my daughter, I'd say ask them how many times they actually did help my son and my daughter, but then you'd probably not get the truth anyway. So since I cannot tell a lie, not that I could tell a lie before my head injury on Palm Sunday 2000, realistically, I definitely cannot tell a lie after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. Not just because of the headaches and migraines being an issue, not just because of the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain, which took years to dissipate and go away because of the damage that was done during my head injury and the coma that I was in, but also not just because of the memory deficits and cognitive disorders and having gone from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to second grade math, but the combination of. I couldn't tell a lie before my head injury. I definitely cannot tell a lie now. And so, my biological mother and biological sister tried to say that they moved to the state of Texas to help me with my son and my daughter. And yet, when my daughter especially needed help with the different aspects, my biological mother and biological sister and biological father very seldomly actually did anything that would assist such. So when my daughter was discriminated against at McCoy Elementary School in Carrollton, Texas, at Carrollton Farmers Branch Independent School District, my biological mother blamed it on the way that I looked, just the same way that the school staff had. And then my biological mother brought up, maybe it's because of your military background, which I brought up had been what I had been told by the staff members at McCoy Elementary School of Carrollton, Texas, in Carrollton Farmers Branch Independent School District. Now, my biological mother had done substitute teaching and had been a part of different school districts doing substitute teaching. But she never once assisted me, nor, which would have in turn assisted my daughter and my son. And so instead of, being truthful, but I don't know if my biological mother knows how to tell the truth, to be honest, didn't actually help. There wasn't anything that she actually did that assisted my son and my daughter. And then she blamed things on me to my son and my daughter. And I know for a fact my son remembers that. That would probably be part of the reason as to why he had the facial expressions that he had when I had called my biological mother when I was still in Washington State. He was in the car. Like, if he had been, if he had been able to show my biological mother the anger on his face whenever she spoke, I thought that he was like, yeah. I'll just leave it at that. The irony. So my biological mother, biological father, and biological sister took my dead ex-husband's side when he was alive. They all agreed with him when he would beat me. They all knew about it. But because he was getting his college degree, that to them was what they considered more acceptable. And if I would just do what they wanted me to do, then, you know, I wouldn't have to go through that. Now, conversely, they also took Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kirkendall Jr.'s side. You know, the one who had done the 151 Road Warrior thing during the Fiesta San Antonio thing. They took that guy's side over mine, which in turn meant that they took everybody else's side but my daughter and my son as well. And so, you know, realistically, and then when I had, the irony is when my biological mother knew about what my now dead ex-husband was doing, she complained about me to my now dead ex-husband. When I spoke with her in Washington State after how I wound up there and all that sort of stuff and telling her and da-da-da-da, that was when she was like, well, maybe you should contact somebody about, you know, like, go to the Salvation Army. Maybe they can help because of, you know, the abuse thing. Really? It took to 2019 for my biological mother to care about that? After what she knew my now dead ex-husband did when he was alive? Really? Really? And like I didn't know that I wound up dealing with that. I figured that out. Okay, fine, yes, I figured it out. However, really? What proof does anybody need more than that as far as, you know, how little my biological mother cared? If my daughter had contacted me and said that there was an issue, just like if my son were to contact me saying there was an issue, I would do anything and everything to make sure that they were okay. My biological family? No. But they moved to the state of Texas to help me, right? I don't think so. I'll believe that my biological family moved to the state of Texas to help me with my son and my daughter. Let's see, how can I have that as, oh, I can't come up with anything that would legitimately prove that to me. Because I would guesstimate that after a whole bunch of stuff, all they did was complain. I would also guesstimate that probably 95% of the problems that I had with different individuals in the state of Texas had to either do with my biological mother doing certain things as far as the technology stuff, my biological sister doing things in reference to the cell phone technology stuff, and then their choices to befriend people who were of the same sort of aspect instead of taking my son, my daughter, and my side. So where my biological mother could have very easily told me what to do as far as like the different school district stuff, no, she didn't. Because, you know, whatever excuse she gave. My biological sister, okay, she was in college when certain things were going on, but she didn't know anybody that could have assisted or at least give me an idea of where. I mean, if they actually had been in the state of Texas to help my children and I, that would have been something done, right? By logical standards, that would have been something that would have been assisted, right? If they were truly here in the state of Texas to help my son, my daughter, and I. However, their actions and their words prove otherwise. Realistically. And so, then there is my ex-in-laws, which my biological mother and biological sister had said they wished my ex-sister-in-law, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, was actually their family instead of me. For those who have met my ex-sister-in-law, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, and or know about things that my ex-sister-in-law, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, had done, really? That's their preference over me? Am I that atrocious of a human being that is considered to be better? Really? Seriously? So, my biological sister even said that in front of me to Susie Marie Nichols Lopez. She had even said she had hoped one day she could meet Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen because she seemed so much cooler than me. Irony of ironies. Now, granted, Patricia was saying that because she was upset that I had essentially punished her for what she had done as far as lying to me, and then what she had done in reference to claiming that she had a school project when realistically she was just having a threesome in our parents' bed in San Antonio. And she was extremely upset with me because I had called one of their parents. I had, so the way it went was my biological sister told me that she had a school project. It was the first week of high school. And I told her, just let me know what time you're going to be back. And, that way I can, have things taken care of, so on and so forth. If you're going to be late, give me a call, let me know, and I'll make adjustments. Well, she said she would be back at the house by 6:30. 6:30, I get a phone call, and some people hadn't shown up yet. Then, it was supposed to be 8:30. Well, 8:30, I get a phone call, and she, said that some people, like the other people, had shown up, and then they were getting pizza. So it would be 10:30 before she'd be back at the house. Well, then 10:30 came, 11:30 came, 12:30, and I called, midnight, realistically. I call her cell phone. She doesn't answer. I keep calling and calling, no answer, no answer. So I start calling the house in San Antonio, my biological parents' house, hers as well, but, call, no answer, no answer. So then I break down and I'm like, all right, well, let me call Mike and Anna in Illinois because I don't want to get in trouble. So I call them. My biological mother says, oh yeah, Patricia called from San Antonio, Texas to tell them that she was too tired to drive from the kid's house to my house. And so she drove over to the house in San Antonio that my biological parents purchased. Well, here's the thing. You can look this up on the internet. My house that I had owned at the time was in Pheasant Creek subdivision. The boy's house that she was at was in Apple Creek subdivision. Look that up. It's like only a couple blocks from my house. My biological parents' house is over in Silver Quail subdivision or something like that, or Silver Quail Drive. Whatever. It's like 5 miles away and compared to a couple of blocks. So I call over to the house repeatedly because my biological mother says, oh, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Yeah, but you're in Illinois and she should have contacted me. I'm in San Antonio, so what's the problem? Oh, you're overreacting. Oh, you're this. Are you kidding me? Please. So then, because so I go and I drive over there. I see 3 different cars in the driveway. 3 different sets of feet, 1 female, which would be my sister's, biologically, and then 2 males. with their feet. You know, the garage door was only up to their knees, and interesting smelling smoke was coming out from beneath the door. It wasn't cigarette smoke. And so then I decided to be ornery, and I just kept calling the house line over and over. I hit the redial button so many times that the phone had not been able to dial it again. So then I dialed her cell phone so many times until the same thing with the redial, back and forth between her cell phone and then the house line. And then she tried to answer the phone in that fake asleep voice, the hello, yeah, yeah. What are you doing? And she tried to say she was sleeping. It's like, yeah, is that what they call it when you have two males over? Is that what it's called? Sleeping? I don't think so. That's a big ol' oxymoron. If you call being unsupervised with two males as sleeping. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. So I told Patricia she would be at my house, and you will answer my questions, blah, blah, blah. So she threw a little fit. I didn't care. She showed up. She threw a little temper tantrum before school. I don't care. You will do this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. She throws another temper tantrum and goes to school. Oh, okay. Well, I looked at the phone, the cordless phone. I took a look at it, and it had not her cell phone number, but whoever house number on the caller ID. So I called that number because I figured that somebody's parents should care. I doubt that, granted, I'm not and wasn't my biological sister's parent, but I was the legal guardian at that time, and I figured that there had to be somebody who actually cared. So I left a voicemail, and I was respectful. I get a phone call back. Now, mind you, I forgot that I had made the call. That has to do with the memory issues, I would guesstimate. So I get a call from a number. I'm like, who is this? So I answer, hello. And it was the mom from the phone number that I had called. I was like, oh, okay. So I remembered we talked. I explained, my side in that regard of why I called. And, I didn't know if you needed to know that because I don't know what was going on, but I want to let you know so that way you have the heads up and stuff like that. And she and I had talked for a while. She understood what type of situation I was in. And so then she had said that she had gone to the school to speak with her son to find out what happened. And I was like, oh, I didn't mean to call. And she was like, no, that needed to be handled because he knew better. And I was like, oh, okay. My mistake. I'm glad that you care in that regard because I couldn't be the only person. I mean, I'm not my biological sister's parent, of course, but I figured that there are some parents who actually genuinely do care in that regard. So we talked. We actually wound up talking for like 3.5, 4 hours. The mom was really, really sweet and everything like that. And at some point, I had told her about my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. And she got really quiet. And she was like, so where are you from? And I was like, oh, I was born and raised in New Jersey. And she's like, I don't hear an accent. I said, well, I lived in Illinois in the latter portion of my high school years. And I had actually fought to get into the Army and get emancipated so that way I could be in the Army because I knew that there was a bunch of stuff that needed to be taken care of and all this sort of stuff. And she got real quiet. But then she was like, so the only other time that she had ever pulled her son out of class had been, when there was a situation. And then I realized what she meant later. And I was like, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't mean to cause any issue or concern in that regard to scare your son or anything like that. And she was like, no, I really appreciate it. And talked a whole bunch more. And so then later, you know, and I realized, like, I think it was 2019, she might have been from Angel Moroni's Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, founded by Prophet Joseph Smith. Because of certain things she was talking about. I'm not laughing at her, I'm laughing at myself because of just realizing certain things and some odd correlations in that regard. And so it's just one of those, oh, well, you know, I'll deal with this and make sure that stuff gets squared away. And she had talked about her daughter, one of them, going and to a missionary thing, and her son going to a seminary thing. Yeah, I think she was from Angel Moroni's Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because they do that, if I'm not mistaken. They're not the only ones, but I think so. But that being said, so I go to pick up my biological sister from school, and she throws a temper tantrum. She goes to get into the passenger seat, slams the door, has an attitude. I look at her, get out of my car, close the door nicely, and then redo that because, you are not gonna, I don't think so. And she's like, are you kidding me? Get out of my car right now, shut the door properly, and then get back into my car without that attitude. Check that at the door. She just, I don't care. So she got out of the car, shut it properly. Stomped her foot for a second and then opened the door. Got in my car, shut it. Better. I look at her, I'm like, yeah, that's right, you better. So then, go back to my house in San Antonio. She throws a fit. You embarrassed me. I didn't embarrass you. Yes, you did. You embarrassed me because how did so-and-so's parents find? Because I told them. That's how they know. Duh. I let them know. Well, you shouldn't have done that. Well, you shouldn't have lied to me. Very simple. Like, I literally told you if you were going to do certain things, just be honest with me. And you know, just so that way I know that you're safe and stuff like that. You want to go and do all sorts of stuff and not be safe? No, I don't know who you think you're talking to, little girl. And she threw this temper tantrum. I don't care. So then, you know, get back to the house, find out about the whole kit and caboodle that she finally admitted she had a threesome in our parents' bed. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, see? I knew it wasn't that they were sleeping. I knew that. And so, you know, so then, you know, after the whole, like, I lit into her, I did. And so then I was like, so I'm not going to tell Mom and Dad. And she's like, oh, thank you. No, don't thank me just yet. You don't want to do that. Why not? And I was like, because you're going to tell Mom and Dad. I'm not telling them what you did wrong. You're going to tell them that. No. Oh, yeah. I went inside, got the cordless phone. Here you go. Hey, Dad? Yeah, Patricia has something she needs to tell you, and you're going to stay on the phone until, you know, she gets it out there. And then, you know, she wound up admitting it. The whole thing. Well, then I took her to Fort Worth because I was actually going to allow her to stay in my house if she had messed up that whole thing by doing that whole thing. And so while going to Fort Worth, so that was when she wound up meeting my ex-sister-in-law, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez. And, oh, well, you know, if you just, you know, could be instead of Susan because Susan's so boring and blah, blah, blah. You're so much more fun. And so, through that whole temper tantrum is what it is. Well, after Mike and Anna sold the house in Illinois and then they got to San Antonio, then, they picked up Patricia, went and talked with her, and then they came back to my house and they're like, let's do a sit down. I had my back against my house's wall, and the rest of them were around the table with my now dead ex-husband. Then he was, still alive, obviously. And anyway, so then, everybody tells me what I did wrong. And then I got blamed for my biological sister having a threesome in their bed because I had made my biological sister feel lonely. Because I gave my then husband a hug and a kiss on the cheek. That was the excuse. And they continued to blame me for that, on and on and on. And it's like, no, that's just not how that works. That's not how that goes. Do not blame me for her having a threesome in your bed. Like, I still, that happened in 2003. This is the 16th of June, 2020. I still don't know how I could genuinely be blamed for that. Nonetheless, that aside, my biological parents and my biological sister never did anything to actually help my son, my daughter, or I. At all. And so, while, Anna had this, pretend holier than thou crap, because, she was a deacon at a Presbyterian church for a whole bunch of years. Okay, well, that doesn't denounce it, but please, with the stuff that she pulled when she was at Old Tennant Presbyterian Church, you kidding me? Please. And then Patricia, my biological sister, tried to say that she was some special snowflake for stuff. I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And then, the out of the three, Mike actually, despite certain aspects, was actually far more innocent in different ways, especially comparatively to my biological sister and my biological mother. However, he took their side a whole bunch of times instead of mine. And again, instead of helping my son and my daughter and I, it was, this, that, the other. It's like, no. That's not acceptable. And so, I was in the state of Texas first. Not just, because I stayed in the state of Texas, but I had my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 when I was in basic training. My head injury happened at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, but I woke up from my coma in the state of Texas. I stayed in the state of Texas. Actually, and except for how I wound up in Washington State in 2013. That is aside from the point, because I had no plans to go above the Mason-Dixon line. That had to do with after flying to Illinois, feeling that, and that was not okay. That was what I was feeling, no. But nonetheless, so, my biological mother specifically and my biological sister had thrown a fit, saying multiple times that they were embarrassed at the fact that I was in the state of Texas. I was here first. I woke up here. I was here years before they showed up. I'm just saying. I was re-raised in the state of Texas. I was first re-raised at Fort Sam Houston when I was in Medical Hold Unit, which is in San Antonio. And then technically still re-raised by the Navy. Because where the Army taught me colors, the Navy taught me how to count to 10. Just saying. And then I delivered my son and my daughter at the Air Force Base after trying to play with The Marine Corps trained military police dog. Just saying. I woke up here. I was re-raised here. The majority of my memories are from the state of Texas, and they had the audacity to be mad at me. I technically re-grew up in the state of Texas. They just followed me here. I'm not trying to sound like a whiny little titty baby temper tantrum. I'm just saying, I re-grew up here. I grew up in the state of New Jersey mainly before I was moved to Illinois for, like 2 years or a year and a half before I wound up, dealing with certain aspects until I could get myself emancipated so that way I could join the United States of America's armed forces, specifically the Army branch. And, and the majority of my teachers are in the state of Texas. Not just my teachers as far as, my Reiki teacher. He's in the state of Texas in San Antonio. He had the unfortunate aspect of meeting my biological mother. And then my scuba instructors, state of Texas. My scuba diving training, state of Texas. I actually remember my scuba instructors. I only remember a couple of my teachers from New Jersey. Only a couple of them. I remember my scuba instructors. And then in the Austin Dominant Mentor Program and the Dallas Dominant Mentor Program, state of Texas. But according to my biological mother and my biological sister, they were embarrassed that I was in the state of Texas. They didn't have to come to Texas. Just saying. And then my ex-sisters-in-law were embarrassed about me being in the state of Texas. And they're not even from the state of Texas. My ex-sisters-in-law were born and raised in Louisiana and then later moved to the state of Texas. One stayed in the state of Texas, and then the other one moved to Georgia and tried to claim that she's a Georgia Belle. Which I would guesstimate would piss off a lot of actual Georgia debutantes. Not just Georgia debutantes, but Georgians. I have a feeling that would even piss off some male Georgians, which I don't think that they're Georgia debutantes. I think that's something different. Nonetheless, yeah. Yeah. I would guesstimate that would piss off a whole bunch of... I warned Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen, you should not claim that you are a Georgia Belle when you are in the state of Georgia. I would guesstimate that would tick off so many Georgians. No, I got the Southern Belle, blah, 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 blah. I could do that accent. I'm gonna have to do that one in a different official YouTube video. You guys comment, like, share, and subscribe to my official YouTube channel. And go to my website and see what else I've done. And you guys have a good one.